Hello, everyone. How are you? Good, good, good. Well, look, let me start by saying thank you very much for sharing the next 30 minutes with me. I'm going to go through a presentation on brain science and how we can maximize engagement. And if you've got any questions afterwards, we'd love to talk to you. So we've got a stand over there. So if questions haven't been answered or you want to see anything, please come and join us over there. Right, so first of all, who are growth engineering? We have been around for nearly 20 years now, still waging war on dull online learning and still trying to make engaging learning platforms that learners love. The problem is still real, that people do not really love their learning, okay? And that is really why we exist. What we really try and focus on is how people learn, how we get people to be curious, and how we can create content and learning experiences that bring people back again and again and again to their platform. So the reality is that even when I started the company 20 years ago, we've still got the same problem. And that is L&D does not have that top seat on the table, on the board. And so it's really difficult to put our employees first and their learning first, because the majority of senior leaders still do not think that learning and development makes the impact it needs to get the size of budget that is really necessary to make a difference. So our big thing is engagement is the most important thing. It's not the content you've got, it's not the platform you've got, it is how engaged your users are in your learning culture, okay? So it's not about the technology, it's about how people think and feel what we're doing as L&D experts. And the reality is in order to get people to be curious and in order to get people to really love their learning, it is all about getting them to repeatedly go back into the platform, go back into the learning experience, so they are constantly curious about what they're learning, okay? Learning is not a moment in time. It happens over a period. So if people are not constantly reinforcing the learning you're pushing out, the reality is you are not changing behavior. So if we have an engaged audience, it's not just about learning. It's also about moving some of these all-important dials. It's about increasing profitability. It's about decreasing turnover. It's about attracting the best people to your business, because your business is known as a place where people's careers can flourish. And that is the role of L&D. And we can also increase productivity. The more we share, the more we know, the more productive we are. So, of course, the signs of engagement are really clear, but let's just go through them, okay? The first thing is course completions, okay? If people are taking your course one time, that will not change their behavior. It will give you a report that says people have taken that course, but it may not make an impact on profitability, engagement, and any of the things we were talking about on the further slide. The other thing that we need to look at is repeats to the platform. It's no good thinking that people are going to come onto your platform, they're going to do compliance training, and it's going to change their behavior. It just simply won't. So we need to have people coming into your platform, into your learning ecosystem on a daily basis in order to make a business impact. We also need good satisfaction scores, okay? We want people to be talking about our learning solutions like they love it, okay? So we want people to say, my learning solution is the place I go to be surrounded by the people that I work with, who I think are the best people to learn and engage and communicate with, okay? So it's not just about the delivery of that learning. We also want to see them engaging with the social features. Why is social so important? Social is important because it's all about how we learn as humans. If I'm pushing knowledge over to you in the form of a video or whatever it might be, within a couple of days I will have forgotten, right? So unless I'm discussing it, unless I'm actually, showing how I'm going to do something with that knowledge, I am not making a difference to behavior. So this social feature is absolutely critical. Because without all of those things, we don't get any business impact. So this is, you're all very familiar with this, but this is a problem that no amount of pieces of e-learning will change unless they are reinforced. The reality is you're pushing out a training program, and within a very short period of time, everything that that person will have looked at, they will have forgotten. Okay? So it is not about content. It is not about delivering of a piece of content that will get you that change of behavior. Because this, unfortunately, is a fact. Okay? You know, if you just think about your own lives in the way you watch Netflix, you cannot remember the detail of that movie or whatever the next day, and you certainly can't remember it in 2 weeks' time. And e-learning is not as attractive as a Marvel film. The second problem we've got is that traditionally, learning management platforms and the way we go about learning focuses down here, okay? It's on knowledge. I am going to deliver you a piece of knowledge, and from that, you are meant to change your behavior. The brain does not work like that, okay? In order to get that change of behavior, we need to first reinforce it, okay? We need to make sure that we've got a drip, 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 drip of that reinforcement post the knowledge delivery. Then we need to get you to practice, discuss, and, you know, really work out how you're going to put that new knowledge into practice, okay? So these are all of the steps that are required to turn knowledge into behavior. So unless you are using those steps, the reality is you are wasting your money. You might have a report that says all these people have done this training course, but it will not be making any impact on your workforce, okay? And that is the problem with a lot of compliance and a lot of kind of one-time training. The other thing is we have to get our learning communities to think of learning as a habit, okay? Just in the same way as when we learn a language on Duolingo, we have to go back again and again and again, okay? So we need to use a model like this, which makes learning attractive. So when you're coming into the platform, you're being rewarded, you're being noticed, you're being, you know, given praise for the fact that you are investing in yourself, okay? And this is a very, very important part of delivering that return on investment. We want people to really be investing their time in their careers. And this is how we do it, using a model like this. So with this in mind, and with our solutions, the way we approach this on growth engineering is through 5 really basic steps. The first thing is gamification. Now, gamification has been around for a long time. And the reason gamification's been around for a long time is that we all like playing games, okay? We all like a leaderboard. We all like streaks. And you can see it in consumer apps more and more and more. And the reality is it does work. There's no such thing as somebody who gamification doesn't work for. Because when we're born, we like to play games, okay? It might not be delivered in the right way, but that's really where we take your brand, your vision, and entwine the gamification in a way that makes sense for your audience. So gamification, absolutely critical. The second thing is social learning, okay? Now, social learning is a vital part of moving the dial from knowledge to behavior. So what we call it is things like social challenges. So you've just seen this piece of content. Tell me about how that's affected your job. You've just seen this. Give me an example of how you would X, Y, Z. And then the cohort and the community come back in and discuss that piece of content. So you've got that reinforcement. We're not talking about the social channel on puppies, dogs, Friday night parties. We're talking about using social in a way that embeds the learning that you want to happen. And without social, it is simply not possible to change that behavior. Now, the other thing that's really important about social is lots of people have social on their platforms, but without the gamification and without the reward, people get bored pretty quickly. They're like, nobody's noticing what I'm doing. Why is what I'm saying important? And this is where gamification and social Really, you get that harnessing power of true engagement. The other thing that's really important with social is the democratization of learning, okay? People do not want experts to be telling them what to do in their job because they're pretty damn good at their job, right? So you have to give them a voice. And one of the things we really encourage is individuals in the organization going through the functionality called Clubs Live to really show how they're putting this knowledge in their role into practice. We have to understand that it cannot be a one-way communication from L&D to our team. The team has to be involved in that discussion in order to make the learning really stick. So the next thing is epic meaning. So epic meaning is something, it is a gamification term, but it is vital, okay? Most of the learning solutions that we see on the market now are not labeled the company's brand. They don't look like the company's brand. They look like that stand or that stand. They are labeled not of my company, okay? Now, one of the reasons people work for companies is they value what that company does, right? They like being part of that vision, that mission, right? And this is so important to engaging people. So it shouldn't be that people are logging into a XYZ platform. It should be that they're logging into your environment, your look and feel, your vision, your mission, your values. And so by really trying to move away from this idea that people are going on to LMS, what we're trying to do is build learning environments that are called, for example, L'Oreal is called My Beauty Club. You want to be, as somebody who's passionate about beauty, you want to be part of My Beauty Club. You potentially don't want to be part of X large companies' tech, okay? So this is more than important. And it's something that really a lot of companies don't pay enough attention to. Learning is part of how we create a team, and branding is a really important part of that. So the next thing is that over the last 20 years of running growth engineering, we obviously have the invention of a small thing called a mobile. Now, one of the things with a lot of learning technology solutions at the moment is that they're not mobile first. So people will say, yes, we've got a mobile solution, but the reality is it's not an actual app, okay? Which means you can't use functionality on the phone. So you can't use things like videos, you can't upload videos, you can't take pictures, and all these things are vital if we're gonna get our team to be discussing the learning to get that all-important behavior change. So really having a strong mobile presence is really critical. The next thing is obviously over the last 20 years, our attention spans have gone down massively, okay? Massively. So what people want is they want to go into their learning solution 5 times a day for 3 minutes. They don't want to go on their learning solution for 20 minutes every once a week, right? So the way we're curating learning needs to be just in the same way as we log on to Facebook, we log on to LinkedIn. This is the experience that people want, and this is the experience that people expect from their learning technology solution. So, you know, what else matters? One of the key things that we're seeing a lot is new people coming into the workforce have a really powerful connection with something that is bigger than themselves. So one of the things that and you might be wondering why I am wearing trees on top of my head. The reason is that we are trying to make a connection between growing somebody's career at the company they're working for and sustainability and planting trees. So some of our larger customers that are in, you know, industries such as energy or communications, what they're trying to do is link that sustainability message, that epic meaning, that idea of what you're doing is bigger and more important than just spending time on your learning, together in one platform. And again, it's just a really nice thing to see the impact of my department doing all of the training, getting involved with the social streams has allowed me to deliver XYZ number of trees. So these ideas of trying to connect something to something bigger is really, you know, meaningful for, you know, the generations that are coming through in terms of the workplace. So what does the future hold? One of the things that we're really trying to get the L&D community to engage with is less admin for the people who are admining the platform. Really trying to use as much tech as we possibly can so that the role becomes a lot more creative. people do not go into L&D to work out how an API works. They go into L&D because they love developing people. And so one of the key things we're trying to drive is this idea of you go away, be the best version of yourself, be awesome, be creative, and leave all of the tech to us. And that's, of course, where the AI comes into, and the personalization. So just a couple of case studies. This is, L'Oreal, one of our key clients. And you can see the engagement rate, okay? So you can see that on average, a user spends 23 minutes on the beauty club every single day. In some areas of the world, like Peru, because we can obviously see a breakdown, they're spending an hour and 40 minutes on the application. Now, when do they spend this time? They spend the time because obviously they're on the shop floor, they're selling perfume, they're selling shampoo. It is their time, they're basically on this app, which may or may not be, possible, but that's the way it is. So they check in first thing in the morning and last thing at night. They view it as a social platform, not necessarily a learning platform. But you can see how much content that is basically being delivered through this app. The next one is an absolute classic that we had with HP. HP have got an LMS, but they could not get their commercial people to actually go in and use it. It was a very old-fashioned LMS. They can't get rid of it. It's part of a big ERP suite. So they used us to try and get that engagement. And where did we start? We didn't start with the delivery of learning. Where we started was peer-to-peer battles. So we put them in an environment and said, right, you guys start battling each other, and then the territories can start battling each other. And suddenly, you know what happened? The sales guys were like, I need to have this information because I'm not going to be a loser, and the US isn't going to be a loser when it battles Europe, yeah? So we're getting engagement in the same way. The end result is still they're learning. It's just got to be delivered in a way that basically makes sense, to the audience. So in summary, the most important thing in getting a return on investment from your learning technology solutions is engagement, okay? And we have to use all of these different types of things to ensure what we are delivering to our teams is something that they absolutely love. Thank you.